Well, this is fun, huh? Would it be more fun if we did it like Family Feud style instead? All right. Well, good evening, everyone. This is probably prudent that I wait for Natasha to come back. So, yeah, so I think we'll just hang tight until she comes back. Natasha, come back. Can everybody hear me okay? No? Maybe talk amongst yourselves. Jill, it's nice seeing you in my neighborhood today, smiling and waving at people. It'd be more fun if we did it like family. Jesse, remember the rules? No arm bars, nothing off the top rope. All right. Ian, no backing your bus over anyone. Jill, it's nice seeing you in my neighborhood today, smiling and waving at people. Remember the rules? No arm bars, nothing off the top rope. Ian, no backing your bus over anyone.
That's empty beside them, by chance. One here and one here.
All right, let's get started. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me here today. As we begin, I acknowledge that the Delta Chamber of Commerce is located on the shared traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Tsawwassen, Musqueam, and Coast Salish peoples. Indigenous people across British Columbia have engaged in trade and commerce since time immemorial. We recognize the strength, wisdom, and cultural richness of Indigenous communities, including the Tsawwassen and Musqueam peoples, whose enduring connection to the land and traditions have deeply influenced our shared history. Welcome to the Delta Chamber of Commerce All Candidates meeting. My name is Ben Martin, and I'm the president of Evolution Group of Companies in Tilbury. I'm also the secretary-treasurer of the Delta Chamber of Commerce. I've engaged in trade and commerce since time immemorial. So, first off, do you know how hard it is to find a tie that's nonpartisan? And then socks that are nonpartisan too? I was gonna wear my red and blue underwear, but I didn't really want that battle going on down there, you know? For 115 years, the Delta Chamber of Commerce has been facilitating gatherings like this, bringing regional, provincial, and national thought leaders together with you. You are the business people who make the capital investments and job-creating decisions that drive our economy. You are the engaged residents who support our business and our business community. On behalf of the Delta Chamber and today's event sponsors, the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, Eastlink, and Sportsway Broadcasting, thank you for being with us today. Today, we are pleased to facilitate this gathering of our Delta community to hear from our federal election candidates on the issues that impact us as the citizens of Delta. I would like to thank each of you for attending tonight. I would also like to thank those of you who have submitted questions that will drive the dialogue this evening. We encourage you to continue submitting questions. This is an opportunity to engage and allow our candidates to share their views on these important issues in our community. At this time, I'd like to invite Gurdeep Sahota, a member of the Stakeholder and Government Relations Committee, for our sponsor, the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, to say a few words. Gurdeep.
Hello and welcome to today's All Candidates meeting. My name is Gurdeep Sahota. No relation to Mo or Jesse, right? Just to be clear. I'm an elected director at the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, and I also chair the Stakeholders and Government Relations Committee. And on behalf of the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, I want to say we are pleased to sponsor tonight's event. A bit about us. The Fraser Valley Real Estate Board represents 5,200 realtors and counting, working in the municipalities of White Rock, Surrey, Mission, City and Township of Langley, Abbotsford, and North Delta. We, the realtors, guide, advise, and protect home buyers and sellers, and the board helps us ensure we can help and support our clients through what can be one of the most significant transactions in their lives. The board also ensures that we are upholding standards of the profession. They provide us with ongoing training and development, and they provide us with the latest data and analytics for the areas in which we work. We are also passionate and committed supporters of the communities in which we live, play, and work. Our Fraser Valley Realtors Charitable Foundation has granted more than $500,000 over the past 2 years to charities supporting at-risk youth, including many here in Delta. Combined with other initiatives, the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board has raised more than $1 million for charities since 2016 throughout the region. Additionally, the Charitable Foundation is running its bursary program for the second consecutive year. The foundation will provide $56,000 of funding to support high school graduates facing challenges as they transition to post-secondary education. This year, the program will once again award $1,000 bursaries to one deserving student from each of the 56 public secondary schools and learning centers across Surrey, Langley, Abbotsford, Mission, and North Delta. Turning back to tonight's event, elections are an important time when we as citizens get to cast our vote to elect officials whom we entrust with ensuring that they can be our voice for creating healthy and vibrant communities where we can all live, work, learn, earn, and play. We are in the midst of a severe housing crisis nationally across Canada, and we need to find ways to create housing which is both affordable and attainable. This issue was serious before the Trump tariffs and is dire now. So on that note, let's see what our candidates here today have to say on these critical issues affecting our communities overall. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gurdeep. We really value the strong working relationship with the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board and recognize the vital role they play in connecting residents with homes throughout Delta. So before we jump into the questions, I've got some of the boring stuff to deal with, the rules, some housekeeping. So first off, this is an excellent time to silence your phone. Also, if you do have to use the restroom, it's right out these doors and to the left. Thank you, Gurdeep. And if you'd like to submit questions to the candidates tonight, question cards are located at this table over here to the left. And recognize the vital role they play in connecting residents with homes throughout Delta. So tonight we are joined with a few of our Delta Chamber board members. Myself, of course, I'm the current Secretary Treasurer at the Delta Chamber of Commerce, and I'm your MC and your moderator this evening. Zahid Jani. Zahid is an incoming board member that is current and is the current interim executive director at the Delta Chamber of Commerce. He will be supporting me as a scrutiny candidate as well. We also have Jennifer Dimmick. Jennifer is an existing board member, and she'll be supporting me as a second scrutineer this evening. I'd like to also acknowledge in the audience, we've got Councillor Rod Binder from the City of Delta, there at the front, and Numan Jat, the Vice Chair of the Delta Chamber of Commerce. Incoming board member that is current and is the current interim executive director. So prior to this event, the Delta Chamber of Commerce contacted each of the candidates running in this election as well to invite them to participate. It's now my pleasure to introduce you to the candidates this evening. To my left, I'm pleased to introduce you to Jesse Sahota, the candidate for the Conservative Party of Canada. Beside Jesse I'm pleased to introduce you to Jill McKnight, the candidate for the Liberal Party of Canada. Beside Jill, I'm pleased to introduce you to Natasha Sarata, the candidate for the People's Party of Canada. And beside Natasha, I'm pleased to introduce you to Jason, candidate for the Democratic Party of Canada. I will rotate who responds. At the conclusion of the evening, each candidate will have 1.5 minutes for a closing statement. Prior to tonight's event, members of the public have submitted written questions for candidates, and written questions may also be submitted from the floor this evening. The format for this evening is as follows. To begin, each candidate will have 2 minutes. In the interest of time, we may limit questions to 1 submission per audience member. When you have a written question ready for submission from the floor, please raise the card up and it will be collected by a runner and taken to the scrutineers. The duty of the scrutineers is to screen out duplicate questions or questions that may be deemed not suitable for tonight's session. Also to rule out out-of-order questions that are deemed inappropriate, offensive, or derogatory, or questions that attack the integrity of the candidate. Scrutineers may also rephrase some questions that may be difficult to understand. To our candidates, please respond only to the question asked. And be reminded that you will only have 1 minute to respond. In the interest of keeping everything flowing tightly and smoothly, we will use the following timekeeping procedure. Time will be kept by a representative from the chamber in the front stage. As the time begins, a green card will be held up. When you have 30 seconds remaining, a yellow card will be raised. When you hear the bell, please stop. To our candidates, please respond only to the question asked. To our audience, it's important that all candidates be given the same opportunity to respond to a question without interruption. We will use the following timekeeping procedure. If there are interruptions from the audience, I'll stop the proceedings until the candidate speaking is given a fair opportunity to respond. If you would like to applaud for any of the candidates' answers, please hold your applause until the candidate has yielded the floor. And keep your applause brief so that it does not interfere with any of the other candidates' allotted time. To ensure a respectful and productive event, we kindly ask all audience members to observe the following guidelines. Please remain respectful at all times. Do not interrupt candidates or speakers by shouting, heckling, or making disruptive comments. Abuse, including verbal or disruptive behavior, will not be tolerated. If repeated outbursts or abusive behavior occurs, individuals will be asked to leave the venue. We appreciate your cooperation in maintaining a respectful environment for everyone. At this time, I'd like each candidate to introduce themselves in order, determined by your draw, so that'd be starting with Jesse. And I'd like to remind you that you have 2 minutes to speak. So Jesse, would you like to go ahead? Disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. Or do you want to come up here? Yeah? Yeah, why don't you do that? Individuals will be asked to leave. We appreciate your cooperation in maintaining a respectful environment for everyone. At this time, I'd like each candidate to introduce themselves in order, determined by your draw, so that'd be starting with Jesse. And I'd like to
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jesse Sahota, and I'm your conservative candidate for Delta. I would like to extend my thanks to the Delta Chamber of Commerce and the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board for hosting us tonight. I've had the honor of serving Delta as a police officer for 8 years. In 2022, I was recognized by the IACP as one of the top 40 under 40 police officers in the world. Through my service with Delta Police, I've connected and supported Delta residents, many on the worst days of their lives. Outside in policing, I'm a dedicated athlete, a community volunteer, and a youth sports coach. Since 2009, I have volunteered for a local non-for-profit charity called Yo Bro, Yo Grow Youth Initiative, which works with at-risk youth to avoid the perils of drugs, gangs, and violence. To be honest, I never had any intention to join politics. I'm here because I am frustrated. I feel strongly that the Liberal government for 10 years has let us down, and I too want to see change. Canada cannot afford a 4th Liberal term. Young people are fleeing Delta because life is too expensive. Home ownership is out of reach. Everyone is living paycheck to paycheck. Food bank usage is at its highest. Repeat violent offenders are released on bail in mere hours. This is not the Canada I know, This is not the Canada I grew up in, and this is not the Canada I want my children to grow up in. The Conservative Party, under Pierre Poilievre, has a plan to unlock Canada's full potential by rebuilding our economy, cutting income tax by 15%, axing the tax on new homes and saving homebuyers up to $100,000 in costs, and stopping repeat offenders from wreaking havoc on our communities. I look forward to answering all of your questions tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Next up is Jill McKnight.
The Party, under Pierre Poilievre, has a plan to unlock Canada's full potential by rebuilding our economy, cutting income tax by 15%, axing the tax on
Good
new
evening.
homes
I'm Jill
and
McKnight,
saving
and I'm
homebuyers
running to be your next
$100,000
Liberal
in
Member of
costs,
Parliament in
stopping
Delta.
repeat offenders
Thank you very much to the
wreaking
Chamber and to the
havoc
Fraser
on our
Valley Real
communities.
Estate Board
I
for
look
hosting
forward
this.
to answering
The
all of
riding
your
of Delta is my home.
Thank you.
It's our home. I've lived here for 40 years. I've watched our community grow, adapt, and rally through challenges. And through it all, I've built my life,
Thank you, Jesse.
my career,
Next up is
and
Jill
my
McKnight.
purpose right here in Delta. As a lifelong entrepreneur, I know what it means to take risks, to lead through uncertainty, and to show up for this community every day. For 28 years, South Coast Casuals, my family business, was a destination shop. For over 20 years, I helped lead the Ladner Village Market, one of Delta's most loved attractions, connecting small businesses with thousands of residents and visitors. For 3.5 years as the Executive Director of the Delta Chamber of Commerce, I worked directly with business owners and entrepreneurs, listening to their challenges, advocating for their needs, and turning those conversations into action. I have decades of lived experience, a business degree from UVic, thousands of volunteer hours, and a proven record of delivering results. This is the most important election of my lifetime. In a time of global instability, we need a leader who will fight for Canada, protect everyday Canadians, and build a strong, inclusive economy. Mark Carney is that leader. He has the education, the global experience, and the economic credibility to lead with maturity and integrity. Right now, Delta needs a strong voice in Ottawa, and Ottawa needs to hear directly from Delta. As your Member of Parliament, I'm ready to be that voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Next up is Natasha Sirota.
And build a strong, inclusive economy. Mark Carney is that leader. He has the education, the global experience, and the economic credibility.
Hi,
to lead
I'm
with
Natasha
maturity and
Sirotic.
integrity. Right now,
and I'm
Delta
running
needs
to
a
be your
strong
MP
voice in
for
Ottawa,
Delta.
and Ottawa needs to hear directly
I'm a
from
teacher,
Delta.
teacher
As your Member of
educator,
Parliament, I'm
and
ready to be that
entrepreneur
voice.
or
Thank you.
small business owner. I don't quite know the difference. I have been a resident of Delta for 14 years,
Jill.
but have commuted
Next
here
up
for
is
work for
Natasha
5 more years than that, from Vancouver, prior to making the commitment to embrace Delta as my hometown. I immigrated to Canada 33 years ago with my husband, both electrical engineers, and 2 young daughters, fleeing from the breakdown of our home country, Yugoslavia. Having personally experienced political instability, economic collapse, and runaway inflation, I remain deeply grateful that Canada welcomed skilled professionals like us with open arms. I became a Canadian citizen in the midst of 1990s and have proudly called this country home ever since. A mother of 4 adult children and grandmother of 3 grandchildren, I also had the joy and the privilege of educating thousands of students as a mathematics teacher throughout my career. Delta is full of potential, from thriving small businesses to vital farms and trade at Delta Port. But we need smart leadership in Ottawa that serves our constituency well. I'll fight for better infrastructure, support our local economy, protect our environment, and bring real solutions to policy, those that address the root cause of our society's ailments, not just treat some symptoms. Balancing growth with respect for our community and putting the needs of people first. In fact, you can count on me to be the MP who will bring the voice of reason to the House. I'll fight for better infrastructure, support our local...
Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. Next up is Jason McCormick.
All right, I'd like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board for having us here this evening and the Delta Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. I'm happy to see so many people here tonight that are interested in listening to the different perspectives that will be presented this evening. This election is not Americanized melting pot where you have to choose between blue or red. This is about affordability. It's about healthcare versus cuts and privatization. History tells us that both the Liberals and Conservatives have failed us with their economic and monetary policies. It's time for you to think about change. It's time for you to vote for the candidate you believe will do the best job for all of us here in Delta. My name is Jason McCormick, and I'm running for the NDP. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Thank you, candidates. It's now time for the question and answer portion of tonight's event. Candidates, please remember that you only have 1 minute to respond to each question, and I will repeat the question twice before you answer. Well, I'll repeat it once. I'll say it once, and then I'll repeat it. Okay, we're going to start with Jesse. If you could accomplish only one thing during your term, what would it be, and why is that your top priority for our community? Candidates, it's now time for the question and answer portion. If you could accomplish only one thing during your term, what would it be, and why is that your top priority for our community?
For me, the top priority is what we're all feeling, the economic pinch. This government is way too spending happy. They've spent enormous amounts of money, but we are not getting the services that we are required. We pay a huge amount of taxes, exorbitant amount of taxes. But there's days when people go to their hospital and it's closed. These are Canadian hospitals that are closed. So if I can go to Ottawa, advocate for our community, one thing I want to make sure is I'm respecting taxpayer money and I am fiscally responsible.
Thanks, Jesse. Jill, would you like me to repeat the question?
What? There's days
Okay.
people go to their hospital and it's closed. These are Canadian
Right now,
hospitals
the
that are
most important thing that we can focus on is our economy and making sure that we have a strong economy to carry us into the years to come. In my experience as a small business owner, I know the challenges of making a payroll, getting your supplies, building your prices, and being able to be responsive to your customers.
Thanks, Jesse.
We need to make sure that we have a strong economy that can support all of our social needs, our housing needs, and all of our residents throughout the community, because strong businesses make strong communities. That we can focus on is our economy.
Thank you, Jill. Natasha, would you like me to repeat the question?
I know the
Okay.
challenges of making a payroll,
Will be
getting your supplies,
the healthcare
building your
system
prices,
that is
and
failing
being able
us,
to be
the
responsive to your
enormously
customers.
long
We
waiting
need to make
times
sure
for
that we
to
have a
see a
strong
specialist.
economy that can support
Um,
all of our
um,
social needs,
no,
our housing needs,
Not enough
and all of our
physicians
residents throughout
for
the community,
family
because strong
family
businesses
care,
make strong communities.
and walk-in clinics to which you actually have to make an appointment. So it's not really a walk-in clinic.
Natasha, would you like me to repeat the question?
People's Party has a solution, and I believe it's a very workable solution. We are one of the only countries in the G20 that is insisting on a government monopoly over healthcare. And so we want to bring the mixture of private, still completely general or accessible to everybody for free or through private insurance, but a mixture of private and government healthcare system. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. Jason, would you like me to repeat the question?
No,
Okay.
it's okay. I think all of the candidates here have brought up some very valid concerns, and we're all concerned about them. But I'm concerned about transportation. Have you tried to get out of North Delta and get through Surrey over to Langley? It's a nightmare. Have you tried or been stuck in the Massey Tunnel? It's crazy. So we need to really focus on our transportation and our infrastructure to make this traffic flow. You know, we need to have that Massey Tunnel done and that overpass built for River Road instead of it just having the pinch point there. So transportation and working with all levels of government to make our transportation flow would be my number one priority. Thank you.
Okay, our next question, we'll be starting with Jill on this one. And it's a trade tariff question. How will you advocate for Delta and support our local business while a trade war is going on between Canada and the United States? And I'll repeat that. How will you advocate for Delta and support our local businesses while a trade war is going on between Canada and the United States?
Thank you. The economic landscape has changed, and we need to establish new trade with reliable partners. Mr. Trump wants to weaken our country. Mr. Carney wants to build and protect our country. We are going to reduce our over-reliance on the United States by expanding trade with like-minded global partners. We're going to invest $5 billion in the Trade Diversification Fund with investments in our ports, our rails, and our highways to diversify from our U.S. dependence. We're going to invest in the export capacity and resilient supply chains to protect Canadian producers from trade disruptions. We need to make sure that we are removing the interprovincial trade barriers to boost our competitiveness. And we're going to introduce port collaboration and strengthen the security of our ports to stop the flow of drugs, such as fentanyl and its precursors, as well as illegal guns and stolen autos.
Thank you, Jill. We're going to now move over to Natasha with the same question. Do you need me to repeat it? Sure. How will you advocate for Delta and support our local businesses while a trade war is going on between Canada and the United States?
Strengthen the security of our ports to stop the flow of drugs, such as fentanyl and its
so the
precursors,
trade
as
war.
well as illegal guns and stolen autos.
I think where we need to focus is to come to an agreement with our biggest trade partner, an economy which is 12 times the size of ours, a population which is 10 times the size of ours, and not pretend that it's something that we can just ignore or just brush off as this is a trade war. And so it is a problem, but it requires diplomacy, and that's what I would advocate for. And also, we need to grow up as Canada to become more self-efficient, have more complex economy, and this is an opportunity. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Natasha. The same question, Jason. Do you want me to repeat it?
No, it's fine. So how would I advocate for Delta in this trade war? Well, first of all, whoever's in power, I'd tell them that they really need to change our monetary policy here in Canada. By devaluing our dollar, no wonder Trump brought in this tariffs. When Americans can purchase from Canada at a 30% discount, no wonder he slapped a 25% surcharge on that to try to convince Americans in their protectionist interests to buy from the U.S. at only a 5% discount in Canada. So that's the first thing I would change. And then by increasing the value of our dollar, that's going to give us consumers and businesses more purchasing power so that we can buy the equipment that we need to make our businesses more efficient and more productive. That's what I'd strive for. Americans can purchase from Canada at a 30% discount.
Great, thank you, Jason. Same question, Jesse.
The honest truth is, we should never be in this position to begin with. We've had horrible governance the last 10 years that have put us in a weakened position. We have a president that is being a bully, and he's picking on us when we're down. We never should have been in this position. A common sense government will invest in Canadians and build up our industries. We have a prime minister right now who thinks LNG projects in Canada are a bad idea, but he's okay investing in them when they're in South America or in the Middle East. We need to keep a Canadian working fund. We're going to also introduce a temporary loan program, replace or renegotiate CUSMA, and rebuild our military and enforce our borders so Canada is back at the strength that it once was.
Thank you, Jesse. The next question is relates to trade, and the first person answering will be Natasha. What is your party going to do to remove interprovincial trade barriers?
Our party proposes to give a lot of autonomy to the provinces and eliminate trade barriers between provinces. It will remove the government
Thank you, Jesse.
tape,
The next question
red tape, and
relates to trade, and
will promote
first
the
person
provinces
answering
to.
will be Natasha. What is your party going to do to remove
So there is
interprovincial
the
trade barriers?
supply management and also the equalization payments, and our party is also addressing that. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Same question, Jason. What is your party going to do to remove interprovincial trade barriers?
Well, unfortunately, you know, there's always going to be trade barriers. Albertans want to get tax anytime somebody buys alcohol. BC wants to do the same thing. Whether they're buying Okanagan wine or you're buying Scotch from Ontario, there's going to be some sort of trade barrier. But that being said, the NDP wants to remove other barriers, like having one license for doctors so you can practice all across Canada. One license if you're going to be a mechanic. So you take your Red Seal ticket and work anywhere through that. So we're going to remove the barriers to employment all the way across this country so that if you have a certified ticket, you can go anywhere. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Same question, Jesse.
Yes, it must be noted that out of all major party political leaders, Pierre Poilievre was the first one to mention that we need to get rid of interprovincial trade barriers. In fact, Mark Carney liked the idea so much, he tried to implement it as well. But right now, we have a country that is divided. We need premiers to work together. We have fishermen from Latin Canada, we have farmers in the prairies, and we need to come together united as Canada and remove these barriers so we can trade freely amongst each other. And then also, that's the only way forward, then we can expand and trade with other countries and stop our dependency on the United States of America.
Thank you, Jesse. Jill, same question.
Thank you very much. The Liberal government has already convened the premiers together to talk about this, and as of July 1st, the federal rules around interprovincial trade are being removed. The next step that we need to do is now continue to support the premiers in the work that they need to do at their provincial level to remove any remaining barriers. We need to be one economy in Canada. We need to be strong. We need to be supporting our businesses, and we need to continue to do the work so that we can move labor, we can move products, and we can move goods across this country.
Great, thank you, Jill. question is a local issue, the issue of dredging. The secondary channels need to be dredged. Float homes are tipping, lifeboats can't get out in low tide, and both commercial and recreational boaters are running aground. Stevenson Marina has been funded for dredging. Why have we not met? What will you do to secure funding for Delta? Jason?
Well, I would obviously work with the Ministry of Fisheries and the environmental
Issue of dredging. The secondary channels need to be dredged.
shucks,
Float homes are tipping.
been up since 3:30 this morning, I'm sorry. Environmental department to try to solve that. It's an ongoing issue, and whether it's provincial, municipal, or federal, we all have to work together to solve that. Now, again, it needs to be a public-private partnership because these people are choosing to live in those locations, so that they're going to have to foot some of the bills as well. It can't just be a free ride. You know, we have to be financially responsible. Cheers.
Thank you. Same question, Jesse, if you need me to repeat it.
Environmental department to try to solve.
I'll just get right to the point.
Issue, and
What are you going to do to secure funding for Delta for dredging?
we all have to work together to
So
solve.
we have
Now, again,
a government in
needs to
place
be
that
a
absolutely loves
public-private
spending money.
partnership because
When
these
it comes to
people are
local
choosing
issues,
to
we
live in
have
those
been an
locations, so
afterthought,
that
whether
they're
that's
gonna have to foot
dredging
some of the
or
bills
the
as well.
tunnel.
It can't just be a
The
free
secondary
ride.
channels need to be dredged from the Fraser River immediately. I've spoken to the residents, I've had phone calls, they've reached out to me, and they said their current MP was not accessible. The last time we got significant funding for the secondary
What are you going to
channel
do to
in
secure
Delta
funding for
was
Delta
during
for dredging?
Stephen Harper, when our member of parliament was Carrie Lynn Finley. So I think it's about time the federal government spends some money in Delta.
Thank you, Jesse. Same question, Joe.
I agree. Dredging is urgent for the secondary channels of the Fraser River. We need long-term sustainable funding. It can't be funding that's one-off. We need a long-term plan for it. I will be bringing this up with the minister. We need to get the federal government back into the business of dredging. And I'm going to work to convene all of the partners together to find a long-term sustainable solution.
Thank you, Joe. Same question, Natasha.
Yes, obviously, investment is needed. Plans have to be made. And where the money will come from? Well, I just hope not from going further into deficit and creating more inflation.
Work to convene all of the
Because,
partners
it's not the
together
solution.
to find a long-term
It's going to, such a solution will create other problems and
Thank you, Joe.
compromise the standard of living. So, yes, money is needed and it should be provided, but not by just making it out of thin air and instituting more inflation with that. So, yeah, that's it.
Great, thank you, Natasha. Jason, same question.
I answered it first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I did get up at 3:30, but I'm not.
Right? I think I was up at 3:30 too. All right. The next question is on infrastructure, and it's a popular topic here, the Massey Tunnel. All past provincial and federal governments have failed in this replacement. If elected, will you ensure that there is an equitable investment when compared to the other provinces, and how will you do that? And we're starting with Jesse on this one.
Thank you. This has been a problem since I've been in school, and I don't think I'm that old, but we've had multiple photo ops, Carla Qualtrough, Justin Trudeau here saying a lot of promises, and it's been a grand total of $0. The federal Liberals and and the provincial NDP need to stop playing hot potato, take ownership. I don't care if it's a bridge or if it's a tunnel. We definitely need something. This is a bottleneck that is limiting Delta's potential. Mark Carney was here last week. The Optimist asked him square in the face, can we get a commitment? And nothing. We need real representation in Ottawa so we can get shovels in the ground immediately.
Thank you. Same question, Jill.
Take ownership. I don't care if it's a bridge or if
Absolutely, the tunnel needs to be done, and it should be done already.
bottleneck that
The provincial government needs to accept the money that was offered to them by the federal government, and they need to get to action to get it done. For the past 3.5 years, my office has overlooked the tunnel lineup. I have watched the traffic go nowhere. I've talked to the people who are sitting in the lines, and I know that the traffic is increasing using the tunnel. When we are looking out the window and we are seeing trucks and tractor trailers sitting, that is the sign of the economy not moving. The tunnel is an urgent trade corridor. It's impacting the lives and productivity of our residents, and it needs to get done. Let's get back to the table and let's get this done.
Great, thank you, Jill. Same question, Natasha. What are you going to do about the tunnel?
Thank you. Yeah. Tunnel, the plans were there already, the building started, and then it was shut down. And that's tragic because I too have been commuting for 5 years and then decided to move here because I like living in Delta. And so the congestion around Delta Port is even more than a nuisance. It's an obstacle to growth. And absolutely, a strong MP will push for federal funding to improve transportation corridors, protect our local environment, and streamline port operations to boost trade. So no going around that tunnel or bridge, but that has to be solved. And yes, a strong MP will do that.
Great, thank you. Jason, same question.
Well, as I drive through our community in my corner office with an ever-changing view every single day, and I get stuck in that tunnel or on the Alex Fraser Bridge, when it gets done, it's going to get done, and it needs to get done now. But will it happen now? No. As soon as possible? Yes, I sure hope so, because it's a pain in my butt. Now, what needs to happen along with that? We need other solutions. We need public transportation. Like, maybe they should extend the SkyTrain from Richmond Centre to Steveston, to Ladner, to the Tsawwassen Mall, to the ferry terminal. That would take a huge load of traffic out. And then they need to build another bridge that's going to create a brand new artery that will go on to, say, Boundary, instead of just one, because all you're doing with the tunnel is you're just going to move the pinch points to Highway 99 and 91 and to the Oak Street Bridge. Cheers.
Great, thank you.
Maybe they should extend the
Okay, our next,
Ben, could we request that the yellow card be held up for the 30 seconds, just if it goes up and it goes down?
sure, yeah,
Is that possible?
that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bridge that's going to create a brand new
Okay, the next question relates to business regulation. We're going to start with Jill on this one. There's been an increase in red tape for businesses. What tangible plans does your party have to address this?
Could you say
Yes,
it again,
yeah.
please?
There has been an increase in red tape for businesses. What tangible plans does your party have to address this?
I agree that red tape is hindering our businesses from growing. It is the delays in permitting to get projects moved through is causing significant economic challenges for our businesses. It's creating confusion, and it's causing the back and forth between the priorities of different levels of government is hindering our growth. Our party has plans to go down to one set of permitting for the provincial and the federal projects so that we can expedite things and get infrastructure and projects built more quickly. I agree that red tape is hindering our businesses.
Natasha, what are you going to do about red tape?
Yes, red tape takes a lot of bureaucracy, right? And a lot of government employees and people who put that red tape in place. So People's Party is proposing reducing of the government, making it more lean, and with that, of course, also reducing red tape so that the economy can move more with a flow and efficiently.
Thank you, Jen. What are you going to do about red tape?
Yeah, businesses will thrive when there is less of a bulk to support with all people who put red tape in the first place. So that's it.
Thank you. Okay, Jason, same question. What are you going to do about red tape?
Well, quite simply, we're going to work with the provinces and the municipalities to reduce the red tape by making permitting regulations Canada-wide. So it's the same for everywhere, whether you're in Gatineau, Quebec, or you're in Delta. If you have the same regulations, it'd be simple, wouldn't it?
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to our next question. This has to do with, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead, Jesse.
And I got a good answer.
All right. I want to hear it.
Well, let me tell you a
Regulations
crazy fact.
Canada-wide.
The timeline to start a mining project in Canada today is 18 years. If you were to do the same project in the United States, you would have shovels in the ground in 8 months. We have an anti-energy bill here, Bill C-69, which Mark Carney, on record, has said in the past week that he will not repeal. The Conservative Party will repeal Bill C-69 so we can build up Canadian industry.
All right.
We need to get rid of all this red tape, and we're going to allow pre-permit, shovel-ready zones so that once we are in power, we're ready to hit the ground running and make Canada a strong powerhouse with all our natural resources.
Thank you. All righty. Everybody doing okay? Yeah? All right. All right, next question. Infrastructure and dikes, and this is going to Natasha. The City of Delta has estimated in the hundreds of millions to reinforce the dikes around Delta, and the city requires federal support for this. There has been little money from the federal government on this to date. How would you ensure that this happens before it's too late? Would you like me to read it again?
No, that's okay. Yeah. So Delta, yes, is a land that is in a very unique position. And we must be responsible stewards to our environment. And absolutely the federal government needs to support, I guess, financially, but also as a player in all the levels of government coming together to protect our farmlands here and to protect the ground in our city from water spilling and entering. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Same question, Jason?
Well, nobody wants to be underwater. So obviously, yes, we're going to support maintaining of our dikes so that we can maintain our yards, our land, my house. I don't want to be underwater and have to move somewhere. So of course, we're going to work with the City of Delta and the province of British Columbia to maintain all of our properties while keeping an eye to the environment as well, because there are some really important natural reserves here for wildlife that we have to ensure have the ability to still have whatever water they need, whether it's salt water or nothing like the sandpipers need over in the Roberts Bank area.
Great, thank you, Jason. Jesse, what are you going to do about the dikes?
Yep, like I said, this government loves spending money. They have $16 million for a ArriveCan app, but they can't invest in Delta residents who are trying to avoid flooding. They have built one water pump for this massive issue that will affect all of Delta residents and all of Richmond residents. You can't put a price on safety. This government needs to start paying Delta the attention it deserves.
Thank you, Jesse. Jill, what are you going to do about the dikes?
Sorry, could I ask for the question again, please?
Sure. The city of Delta has estimated in the hundreds of millions to reinforce the dikes around Delta, and the city requires federal support to do this. There has been little money from the federal government on this to date. How would you ensure that this happens before it's too late?
So Delta has 68 kilometers of dikes that actually need to be raised, and I believe it's actually more than hundreds of millions. I believe it was projected out at that time at $1.9 billion. So you're right, the federal government, the provincial government, the municipal governments, we're all going to be part of this conversation to raise these dikes because it is urgent to protect our farmland, our infrastructure, our homes, and our communities. It's going to take work at all levels, and it's not going to be a simple process. Those are not small numbers to be working with. So it's going to require convening all of the partners together. I will correct one thing that a fellow candidate said with regards to there being investment in one pump station. I don't believe that's accurate because recently I was at an announcement where $7.4 million was announced for Delta, which is actually 2 pump stations in Delta that are coming through. So the federal government is investing money, and we need to do much more.
Thank you, Jill. This next question comes from the audience, from a member in our audience. Canada contributes only 1.4% of the total global emissions, but we have reduced investment in energy projects. How will your party enable investment to drive our growth, e.g. pipelines to distribute our energy? And this one is starting with Jason. Do you need me to read that again?
Yeah, if you could read that again.
Yeah. Canada contributes only 1.4% of the total global emissions, but we have reduced investment in energy projects. How will your party enable investment to drive our growth, e.g. pipelines to distribute our energy?
Well, I believe that the NDP is going to invest in our roads, in our infrastructure, in everything to make Canada more efficient. Right? We need to do that, and we need to do that by strengthening our policies, our monetary policies, to make our dollar valuable again, so that our businesses and our people can afford to invest in Canada themselves, not only the government. But we all have to work together. We're all Canadians. We're not here just to blame what's happened in the past. It's time for us to take ownership and move forward now. So let's do that.
Great, thank you, Jesse. Hey, Jason. Same question, Jesse.
We have a government that believes that getting environmentally friendly means taxing the middle class. And public have spoken to the point where Mark Carney, who has been championing the carbon tax for a decade, 6 weeks before an election decides to get rid of it. Very convenient. You can't be taxing the middle class to get rid of an environmental problem. Canada, if it was completely shut down for an entire year, blackout, China would make up for it in 48 hours. China and India use dirty sources of fuel like coal. They have been at our doorstep asking us, Canada, please give us your clean sources of fuel like LNG. But no, we've turned them away. So let's give them our clean sources of fuel, make a greater net difference, and build up Canadian industry and give Canadians job opportunity.
Thank you, Jesse. Same question for Jill.
To get the energy projects moving, we need to work in partnership with the provinces, the territories, and our Indigenous peoples to decide on major projects that are of national interest. We are not going to impose any projects on any government or any Indigenous community. It's going to be in collaboration and discussion together. We're going to work with the premiers to remove the barriers, and we're going to encourage collaboration so that we can have a better management of our resources and our projects. We're going to cut the red tape so that we can speed up the energy project approvals. We're going to have an economic plan that places the environment and Indigenous rights at the forefront, and we're going to move forward in this country.
Thank you, Jill. Natasha?
Yes, so as far as I understand, Alberta is really suffering because it cannot move its product. It's through LNG, and People's Party proposes, of course, to develop the pipelines to be able to sell the product to those who pay the higher price. So instead of to the United States, to move it to Europe, that is now paying very high price. And science on climate change is not settled. And we reject the climate alarmism. If we consult some real scientists, like Professor Howard from the Princeton University, he projected that even if it doubles, if carbon dioxide doubles in amount, it would raise temperature only by 0.8 to 1 degree centigrade, while we can find simpler solutions by planting more trees.
Thank you, Natasha. Okay, now we're moving on to our next question, and this is another question from our audience. What policies will you support to increase the supply of affordable housing in the Fraser Valley and Delta? How will you work with the municipal and provincial government to streamline development? What measure? There's a bunch of questions here. I'm just going to go with that one. And I'll repeat that. That is, Natasha, you're going to start with that one.
Okay.
No,
No,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Do you need me to read it again?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. The housing crisis came about. Why? We have let an enormous amount of immigrants in without really providing for them. It's hurting them and it's hurting us. So we are proposing to pause immigration until and protect the jobs and the houses until things settle down, and that will immediately resolve. Until then, we can build more houses. Currently we are short of 3 million homes, and to do that, pausing the immigration would be the first line of solution. But if we continue just bringing in new immigrants, we cannot catch up with the building of houses that we need. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Natasha. Jason, same question. Do you need me to read it again?
Yes, please.
Okay. What policies will you support to increase the supply of affordable housing in the Fraser Valley and Delta? How will you work with municipal and provincial government to streamline development?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that the NDP picked up on an idea from the Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board and how they floated the idea of the Canadian Home Ownership Community Bond. And so the NDP wants to have what's called the Victory Bond to be used to finance infrastructure and housing to make it affordable. And to support that, they want to have long-term, low-interest loans so that people can afford it. Unlike myself, my loan has cost me an arm and a leg, and I think I've paid for my house twice already, and I'm sure I still have 25 years to go. But there needs to be more affordable housing, and it's going to take time. It's not, you can't build a house overnight.
Thank you. Jesse?
Yep, it was this Liberal government that brought in millions of new Canadians without building up the infrastructure. Housing, schools, roads, hospitals, and now we are gonna be playing catch-up. They'll tell you they have a housing accelerator fund, which is a one-time injunction of funds, which is literally a Band-Aid for a gunshot wound. We need way more action. We need to cut red tape, we need faster permitting, and to make things affordable, Pierre Poilievre has said no new tax on new homes under 1.3 million. So that will give you a grand total savings of $100,000 for young couples who are trying to enter the housing market. I don't trust this Liberal government to fix a problem that they created.
Thank you, Jesse. Jill?
Young people want to build their futures here, and they want to raise their families here. We are committed to implementing the most ambitious housing plan since World War II. We are going to be building up to 500,000 homes per year using Canadian technology, resources, and local skilled labor to build our country. That's going to keep dollars in Canada. We're going to build. We're going to double the nonprofit community housing supply, and we're going to cut the GST for first-time home buyers. During his recent visit, Mr. Carney announced $25 billion in financing for prefabricated homes. That will support companies like Intelligent City in Delta. This company uses Canadian innovation paired with timber and softwood lumber to make home building faster. We're going to build homes.
Thank you, Jill. Okay, our next question, we're moving on to fiscal responsibility. Budget management, and this comes from somebody in the audience. Budget management is a key concern, and fiscal restraint is tantamount. How do you propose we balance the budget? And that's, Jason, you're starting this time.
Wow, that's a really great question. How are we going to balance the budget? I don't think we are. Let's be honest. It's going to take years to balance the budget. Canada, you know, over the last number of years, the economic policy was driven by a population increase to maintain that GDP at a 2% growth rate. And we're so far behind the 8 ball in all of our infrastructure needs, our housing, our doctors, our nurses. We're not going to catch up. We're not going to catch up in my lifetime, in your lifetime, in my children's lifetime. It's probably in my grandkids' lifetime that hopefully Canada will be able to catch up. So are we going to balance the budget? No. Let's not lie to the people of Delta or anybody. It's going to take years before we catch up. And the only way that, you know, the other parties up here are going to do that are by cuts and privatization. And you know what? That sucks. Cheers.
Thank you, Jason. Great, Jesse, how are you going to balance the budget?
You have one government that has amassed the amount of debt of every other government prior to it combined. We are paying $1 billion a week to service our national debt. This is absolutely ridiculous. Beyond that, our government has become bloated. We are paying billions to consultants, people who give our government ideas. We need to get smart with our money because this is taxpayer money. People work long and hard hours at work and they expect things in return. We need to be smart with it. Pierre Poilievre has said that all his ministers will have to provide $1 of savings for $1 of spending. He will cut down on foreign aid and he will help build up Canadian industry so we can get our piping projects, our rare mineral projects up and going and provide meaningful employment to Canadians.
Thank you, Jesse. Hey, Jill, what are you going to do about the budget?
Under Mark Carney's leadership, with his experience, the government will have a new approach to fiscal management and growth. We will balance the operating budget within 3 years. We will cap the size of the public service, and we're going to review all spending with a focus on outcomes. I have the experience as a small business leader where there was no government bailout, dollars in, dollars out. I had to make it work with my budgets. I'm going to be the person that's sitting there to make sure that we're spending wisely with our Canadian dollars.
Thank you. Natasha?
People's Party government will create a new Department of Government downsizing. Our government has grown and ballooned an increase of 43% over the COVID times, so in just a few last years. This will review the programs also whose goal is to, we will abolish ideologically motivated programs that promote programs whose main purpose is to buy votes, outdated and ineffective programs that don't serve a clear purpose anymore. We will get rid of the deficit and balance the budget within a year of taking power, whenever that comes. But tens of billions of dollars in savings can be found rapidly by eliminating or drastically cutting the budgets of large programs and agencies such as corporate welfare, foreign aid, aid to Ukraine, which is something that we propose to eliminate entirely, climate change programs, and other
Natasha.
things. Thank you.
Okay, our next question comes from the audience as well, and this one Jesse is going to start with. With the level of increased communication communications available today, we are able to work remotely. Why are we increasing the number of why are we increasing the number of MPs in Ottawa? Want me to read that one again?
Yes,
Yeah, okay. With the level of increased communications available today, we are able to work remotely. Why are we increasing the number of MPs in Ottawa?
You know, I'm a police officer, so I never actually had an opportunity to work from home, but I can imagine there's a lot of distractions and stuff around. To be a member of Parliament is a very, very big honor. To make that trip to Ottawa is a privilege. You are representing the people of Delta. You get paid a good wage to make that sacrifice. Before you run for office, you have a sit down with your beautiful wife and family and you say, I'm gonna embark on this journey. I'm doing it for my community. I may be away from home for a period of time. Are you with me? And my family said they're with me, so I'm ready to go to Ottawa as much as they need me. So I'm there to advocate for you, and I will do it with great honor.
Thank you. Same question to Jill.
First off, our population is increasing, so it would be natural that we would increase the number of MPs so that we're maintaining a similar proportion of representation in terms of the areas with which you're representing. So that would be my first response to that. Secondly, in terms of working from home, yes, that is an opportunity, and that is something that I understand some of the MPs are able to do now with not being in Ottawa all the time. But more importantly, I do think there's value in coming together, because collaboration, when you're in the same room, can deliver much stronger results than trying to do it through a television or through a computer screen. We saw this during COVID, and there is great collaboration that comes when you're in the same room together.
Thank you, Jill. Natasha, same question.
Yes, as a teacher, I know that students perform better, learn better, and just solve problems better when they're together. So I think it's important that our representatives are there in the House and have the debates that they have, because they're making incredibly important decisions. And so the ridings have, the number of ridings has gone up, as I understand, from 332 to 343. So that increase, yes, as Jill pointed out, could be attributed to the population growth. And working from home, I think can be a mixture. There are things that probably can be resolved also online and with the distance. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Natasha. Same question, Jason.
Well, I think it's a simple mathematical equation. You know, as the population grows and areas get larger, while the world is getting smaller via the opportunities to communicate through Zoom and Microsoft Workspace, you still need that human interaction. And we do need more people for more members in Parliament, for more places. And as places get larger, they split up. So it's not like the provincial election where we have two zones for Delta. This is one for all of Canada for this riding. And it's always better to have more people working together in one location. When you can read people's human experiences and relate and see the different sides of the argument, sometimes you miss the nuances that are over a video screen. So I'd much rather work with some people. But again, working remotely in this community and working with the people here is another great opportunity.
Thank you, Jason. All right, we're bombing you with questions, huh? That's good stuff. Everybody need to do a little stretch or anything, or we're all good? Okay. Our next question is for Jill. We need refineries to reduce dependence on the U.S. and manufacturing. What are the plans of your party on this issue? How will you unlock productivity in Canada? Do you want me to read that again?
Yes, please.
Okay. We need refineries to reduce dependence on the U.S. and manufacturing. What are the plans of parties on this issue? How will you unlock productivity in Canada?
Well, I'm going to go back to some of the things that I spoke about already in terms of working together across the provinces to reduce the red tape, to get our projects moving more quickly in consultation with our Indigenous partners, and to sorry, I lost my thought. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Jill. Same question, Natasha. Do you need me to read that again?
No, that's okay. The issue is that there are only two ways to create more wealth and prosperity. Either we can either work more or work more efficiently. And so we do need to increase productivity by investing in research and development, innovation, and more efficient production processes, machinery, and equipment. That all is critical to improvement of productivity and living standards. And also training of people and education and retooling of a society so that we can actually compete in the world. Attracting, I would like Delta to become a magnet city that would attract investment because of its great livability, but also because of its great job prosperity. And that is something that, yes, we need to create right here through
Great,
better
thank you.
equipping people. Yeah, thank you.
Jason, same question.
Can you read the question again?
For sure. We need refineries to reduce dependence on the U.S. and manufacturing. What are the plans of parties on this issue? How will you unlock productivity in Canada?
Well, the NDP plans on investing in a national retrofit plan so that businesses, industries can invest or get investment from the government so that they can increase productivity, increase efficiency, therefore making more profits for the businesses and just providing more opportunities and jobs for future investment in Canada. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Jesse?
To increase productivity, you have to make it easier for the business owners.
There are Delta business owners in this room today who have sat down and met with me and said the industrial carbon tax is killing their business. Mark Carney, yes, brought the consumer part down to zero, but the industrial carbon tax is still there and small businesses have to pay it. And then the cost ultimately goes to the customer. And we also need to scrap Bill C-69. This is the anti-energy, it's a roadblock, it's red tape. We need to stop this. Another great idea that Pierre Poilievre has had, no tax on purchases of new Canadian vehicles. And another great one is, if you sell off Canadian assets and you purchase new Canadian assets, you will not pay any capital gains tax. That's a very favorable policy that I anticipate Mark Carney will copy very soon.
Thank you. Okay, our next question from the audience. This one is going to Natasha. While it's critical to support business development and growth, how will you make this happen without risking environmental damage? Do you want me to read that again?
No, it's
No?
okay. Yeah, I think this has to be assessed project by project basis for every individual application of different businesses will have different footprints. But as I said before, environment is incredibly important, and we do need to protect it. But the carbon tax has not done much to protect it. So it's been a drain on the people's pockets, but hasn't really delivered much. And so, yeah, the businesses that want to be big pollutants will just have to employ more innovative strategies. I'm all for hydrogen cars, for example. I drive one myself with fuel cell. So taking responsibility, that's a big thing. So business or individual, it doesn't matter. We can be stewards to environment
Thank
by
you.
doing so.
Jason, do you need me to read the question again?
No, I'll give it a go. So as an example, investing in business growth would be like investing in the Delta port. We see how much product that we're shipping out through that facility, and we want it to grow. One of the things that we have to keep in mind, though, is that there's a very important bus stop for the sandpiper that lands there. So, that's where we need to think about the opportunity to protect the environment and protect what's important to Delta. So while maintaining our growth. So absolutely, let's do that.
Great, thank you. Jesse?
Yes, we have to address the elephant in the room. The Liberal government has put up significant amounts of red tape. I'm going to tell you about the Fortis LNG project in Tilbury, which is clean source of fuel. They had to do over 350 environmental scans. 6 federal departments had to review the project. It is finally up and running, providing opportunity and investment into Delta. But it was delayed for years because of this Liberal government. At this rate, if it was a different government, we could have had 2 or 3 of these. So we need to stop roadblocking and putting red tape for good, clean projects that give meaningful employment to Canadians.
Great, thank you, Jesse. And same question, Phil. You'd like me to read it again?
Yes.
Okay. While it's critical to support business development and growth, how will you make this happen without risking environmental damage?
Environmental protection must go hand in hand with economic growth. Pierre Poilievre wants you to believe that we have to choose between growing the economy and fighting climate change. We have a plan to do both. We need a climate policy that is unifying, credible, and predictable in order to meet our objectives, to reduce emissions, drive investment, and build a future-looking economy the strongest economy in the G7. There's lots of money on the table for investment and millions of jobs at stake. Our plan is going to find a way to bring both together so that we protect the environment and build the economy.
Thank you. All right, this next question is going in a completely different direction. And we're going to start with Jason. Artificial intelligence has the potential to completely change our economy, education and healthcare, national security and businesses. Will all be challenged. But there are enormous opportunities. How will your party deal with this technology? Do you want me to read that again, Jason? You got that?
Yeah, read it one more time.
Sure. Artificial intelligence has the potential to completely change our economy, education, healthcare, national security, and businesses. They will all be challenged, but they are also enormous opportunities. How will your party deal with this technology?
I think they'll ask Alexa. You know, that's a really interesting question, and I think time will tell us how we're going to use AI to make things more efficient and more productive, but still realizing that we still need humans to do the job, right? We still need human interaction. We can't just rely on somebody else making our decisions for us.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Jesse?
Yeah, we're noticing that artificial intelligence, AI, is a leading technology. We must move with the times. We must learn it. We must master it and use it safely to our benefit. And there is enormous and tremendous benefit potential for all Canadians. So I look forward to seeing this technology and what it's capable of. And I will be there, advocating for safe usage and help unleash our potential.
Thank you. And Joe?
I agree that the power of AI is exponential. We have no idea yet how much we're going to be able to do with it. It's going to bring tremendous opportunity. And I think that the first step is going to be in training and retraining our workforce right now to be able to work with it in manners that are safe, but utilizing that to fill some of the vacancies that are going to be coming as our workforce is retiring, and allowing us to be more efficient with the people that we have and do more with our capacity.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Same question, Natasha.
thank you. It's interesting because artificial intelligence is also taking over the things that we as people love to do, like art and music and so on, so we must watch not to become slaves to it. And for that, I think education system will have to really look deeply into keeping children connected to nature and to their humanity, while at the same time bringing also the ethical dimension to the use of artificial intelligence. So the ethics about it is still in its infancy, and I think it will be a very important question.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're going to take a different direction now. And we're going to be starting with Jesse on this one. Western Canadians feel isolated from Ottawa. What will you do to ensure that we remain heard and connected at the federal level?
Yes, I'm in that bracket. I'm a Western Canadian who feels isolated in Ottawa. Our MP has not been a champion for Delta. In fact, they come back to Delta and they tell us what Ottawa is saying. No, it needs to be the opposite. One of the issues that I was dealing with that I was very vocal about is every day I arrest really bad people. I'm not talking about petty criminals. I'm talking about people who hurt others. And they're released the same day or the next day. We've been screaming at the top of our lungs, please government, do something about this. It's fallen on deaf ears. Beyond that, the decriminalization of drugs, our government thinks it's a good idea to give out free drugs rather than focus on recovery. Once again, we've been screaming at the top of their lungs, this is really dangerous. More Canadians have died from the opioid crisis than World War II. And Mark Carney thinks it's an unfortunate event, not a crisis.
Thank you. Jill, Western Canadians feel isolated from Ottawa. What will you do to ensure we remain heard and connected at a federal level?
I think the most important thing in terms of feeling heard and connected is to elect a majority government of the Liberal Party so that we can make strong decisions and move forward and have a voice at the table. I come from a customer service background. I know the value of conversation, dialogue, and interaction with the people that you're representing, and I commit to listening, to learning, and to keeping those conversations going forward. I bring 42 years of experience from Delta to this role. I've lived here, I've grown here, and I've built my businesses here. I'm coming from a starting place of knowing Delta, and I'm going to continue to build on that through the conversations we have together and take that message to Ottawa so that it is us speaking to Ottawa, not Ottawa speaking to us.
Thank you. Rebecca?
I think the best solution to being heard in Ottawa is to have a direct representation system, and with the technology we have today, it could be possible. But in the absence of that, you have an MP that represents all the population of Delta. I think we have to return back to really having a government that serves the people. For too long, that has not been the case. People do not feel served. And so I'm calling for making government accountable and making politicians trustworthy again.
And Jason?
Well, Western Canadian isolation has always been a topic, not dissimilar to Quebec separation. We have this anxiety where back east Ontario gets whatever they want and we get left out. Well, you know what? I think the best solution to that is because all people in Canada are equal and all parties have good ideas. It's time to change the way we look at things instead of electing a majority government and let them run wild however they choose to do so for 4 or 5 years. It's time for us to just elect your best candidate. And let's have a minority government because you know what? Everybody has something important to say and every party has some great ideas. But let's work together and fight for that for Canada.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is directed to Jill. In your view, what's missing from Ottawa when it comes to understanding the needs of communities like Delta? In your view, what's missing from Ottawa when it comes to understanding the needs of communities like Delta?
Every representative is always going to have the challenge of taking the voice of Delta to Ottawa. It's going to come down to dialogue, communication, to listening to the residents, and to having a strong voice in Ottawa that's part of a majority government so that we can get the work done that's going to benefit benefit Delta in Ottawa. We know that it's not easy to put your hand up to do this, but it takes everybody coming together. The MP is one part of it, The feedback that you get from the community is what informs the message that we get to carry forward to do the work in Ottawa.
Thank you, Jill. Same question, Natasha.
Okay, thank you. I think there does need to be different voices in Ottawa. I think because Canada is a very diverse, pretty large, actually second largest country in the world. And so the uni voice, as it is, does not represent people. So just as in case to make it, how come all 338 MPs support mass immigration? How come all push net zero carbon, or used to just until 5 minutes ago? How come there are endless billions of dollars spent on the Ukraine war and prolonging it? So it's all kind of one voice. All unanimously voted for this. And I believe there needs to be a new voice, a voice of reason and not just following orders. So I don't understand the party whip idea, but
Thank you,
that's
Natasha.
it. Thank you.
Jason,
Can you repeat the question?
for sure. In your view, what's missing from Ottawa when it comes to understanding the needs of communities like Delta?
I think, for the most part, Ottawa just doesn't get the needs of all individual communities. I think they try to look too large, right? Instead of looking in the micro, they look at the macro. So Canada as a whole, and that's what the federal government's supposed to look at, is what's in the best interest of all of Canada, and then they miss the simple things that we need to help communicate. And that's our job as an MP, is to listen to the people of Delta, irregardless of what party they're supporting, right? It's to make sure that our voice is heard, and so that our needs can be met.
Great, thank you. Jesse?
Yes, I'm going to be very straightforward here. I've thought about these questions. Does our MP use the same hospital we use, or do they have something special? I don't know. Does our MP pay heating and gas bills, or are they paid for them? Does our MP know that we have up to 8 international students sometimes living in a single basement because they can't afford rent? Does our MP know that food banks are running dry? Do they know that? Yes, they do. But they will still come on tables and platforms like this and tell you things are going to get better while they do nothing in Ottawa. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm a concerned citizen just like you. That's why I'm running for office.
Okay. Now we're going to move to some safety and crime questions. And we're going to start with Natasha. Security and crime are on the increase, let's start again. Security and crime are an increasing concern across the country. What role do you see and the federal government to play in improving security at major infrastructure points like Deltaport? I'll read that again. Security and crime are an increasing concern across our country. What role do you see and the federal government to play in improving security at major infrastructure points like Deltaport?
Yes, we know that there is an influx of precursors to fentanyl production. I'm very happy to see that RCMP has caught a few of those, but this is running rampant, and it has been described by the investigative journalist in a book called Willful Blindness. It's called Vancouver Model. And we must secure our borders and port from the influx of illicit precursors, and security and we have to stop letting of repeated criminals being just let out. So that's a big issue. Yeah, crime down.
Thank you. Jason, do you need me to read that again?
Yes, please.
Okay. Security and crime are an increasing concern across the country. What role do you see you and the federal government playing in improving security at major infrastructure points like the Delta Port?
Well, I think at all points of entry in Canada, we need to ensure that we give our border agents the proper tools to do their job, to make sure that we're all safe, that we're not allowing illegal guns to come into Canada, that we're not allowing illegal drugs to come into Canada. And if they have those tools, well then, you know what, we should feel a little bit safer. And again, I think that's why the Trumpster brought up that issue, right? He wants that to be taken care of, and you know what, rightly so, we should have that done as well.
Great, thank you. Jesse?
Yes, it is very obvious that we need to improve in this area. We only inspect 1% of incoming cargo. Absolutely ridiculous. We need to increase our CBSA presence. We also need the implementation and reintroduction of Port Police, which was taken away in 1998. This federal Liberal government is targeting hunters and sports shooters, but not going after illegal firearm owners. I have seized illegal firearms on Scott Road, and those people were released the same day.
Great, thank you. Jill?
Port safety and security is of the utmost importance, particularly given the strategic location of Delta Port and its important role in the international trade for Canada. Our ports need proper resources with expertise in port security, intelligence, investigation, and the specific criminal activities that are happening in port environments, in particular organized crime. Regardless of the specific delivery model, there needs to be specialized training for the appropriate authorities, proper governance and oversight, adequate funding, and cutting-edge technology. Mark Carney's Liberal government will hire 1,000 new RCMP officers and train 1,000 new CBSA officers and invest in the technology to keep our ports safe.
Thank you. Okay, this question is for Jason. What is your party's position on mandatory jail time for violent offenders and stricter bail conditions? Want me to read that again?
No.
Okay.
Well, let me just tell you from personal experience, I truly do believe that our judicial system works. What doesn't work is our parole board. They may speak a tough act and say that they're going to be hard on these criminals and keep them there, but they don't. They're impotent. They suck. And that's what we need to change. That's the policy that we need to enforce, is to put our time and efforts and tell the parole board there's no parole for these repeat offenders, whether they're sexual or they're violent. They need to stay in jail. To hell with them.
Great, thank you. Jesse?
Yes, just like they have told you that we're going to get rid of the carbon tax, now they're going to tell you we're going to start putting bad guys in jail. But they're not gonna. One of the reasons that I joined politics is I had a fellow athlete, Greg Pierchala, who saw a car in a ditch, ran up to help the person in Ontario. Driver comes out, shoots Greg, and kills him. Greg was another wrestler. I went to Greg's funeral as a police officer and as a fellow athlete. The commissioner read out the list of crimes that this person had committed. That person had numerous offenses against the police and public. Never should have been they left out. Innocent people have died because of this government's willful blindness, including Greg Pierchala, officer of OPP.
Thank you. Jill?
All Canadians deserve to feel safe at whether they're at home, work, or their place of worship, or out and about in the community. We are going to toughen the criminal code and make bail laws stricter for violent and organized crime, home invasions, car theft, and human trafficking, including and especially for repeat offenders.
Great, thank you, Jill. Natasha?
Yeah, so the the rate of crime has gone up in the last 10 years, for sure. People are no longer safe to walk in the street in some places of Vancouver and also Surrey. And we know that the repeated criminals, there's 40% of all crimes are from repeat criminals. And so, of course, there has to be enforcement, better enforcement of the law, and keeping these people longer and in jail, not releasing them on bail because they just repeat the offense. So yeah, that's kind of an obvious solution, but it's not happening. So that's what is concerning.
Great, thank you. So I think we have time for 2 more questions and then the closing remarks. So we're starting this one with Jesse. Canada has a moral responsibility to aid in climate change. As such, how will you work with other countries at the UN and account for the US failings?
I've already mentioned this, but I'll mention it one more time because I feel strongly about this. You're not gonna fight climate change by taxing hardworking people who are just trying to heat up their homes and go to work. What we need to do is help China and India and dirty polluters who are using coal wean off these dirty sources of fuel. They are literally asking us, begging us, give us your clean sources of LNG. But no, Bill C-69 and Justin Trudeau and his Liberal government, and now Mark Carney as well, do not want to do that. A Pierre Poilievre, common sense conservative government will boost up these projects, get them going, give Canadians jobs, and build up our Canadian industry. Common sense.
Thank you. Jill, same question? For sure. Canada has a moral responsibility to aid in climate change. As such, how will you work with other countries and the UN and deal with the US failings?
Climate change is real, it's happening, and we need to take it seriously. Our leader, Mark Carney, has the expertise, both in the economy and in climate, to be a leader in this field and to lead our country in making meaningful change. The decisions that we're going to make today and in the 4 years to come are decisions that are going to be with us for the long term, for the next generation. So we need to be making smart decisions that are well informed and that are building for the future.
Thank you, Jill. Natasha?
I want to see a return to healthy science and dialogue because I don't believe that it's settled. It is the research that supports the alarmistic side that is financed, and that's why people are in fear. And we reject the climate alarmism. Instead, we want to prioritize implementing practical solutions to make Canada's air, water, and soil cleaner, including bringing clean drinking water to remote First Nations communities. And we want to withdraw from Paris Climate Accord and abandon unrealistic greenhouse gas emission targets that come from there, imposed from foreign forces, and that is not going to help reduce emissions because Canada is a very small emissions contributor.
Thank you. Jason?
So, moral responsibility for the world. Canada has that in almost every aspect, whether we're peacekeepers, leaders in industry. And I think that's where we'll take that obligation, is we'll use Canadian industry to help other countries become more efficient, use renewable resources that are better for the environment, whether it's through solar, through wind, any of those technologies that Canada can be a world leader in. And I think that's how we'll help the rest of the world overcome their challenges, not by flagging their or failing the letting people know how bad the Liberal government is right now. I don't think that's the answer. So let's help the world by sharing Canadian technology.
Great, thank you so much. This is our final question of the evening, and we're starting with Jill. What qualities do you admire about your leader?
I was recently with Mr. Carney on his visit in Delta, and what struck me was his level of information, or how informed he was about Delta, but most importantly was the questions and the time and the energy that he was directing towards the owners of the business that he was visiting. The questions he was asking weren't surface level. They were in depth, and they showed that he was taking an interest in the business. I admire his education, his strength, and his decorum in how he responds to people. I think that that's the type of leadership that we need right now, especially in these unpredictable times, particularly in these unpredictable times. And we need someone that's got a vision, who's going to be able to bring people on board and lead us all into the future together.
Thank you, Jill. Natasha?
Okay, our party leader, Maxime Bernier, has left the Conservative Party of Canada in 2018, declaring it morally and intellectually corrupt and starting a new party altogether. The party is very different from all others in the sense that it stands on values of individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect, and fairness. And all policies draw to these points. So I think he's a person of integrity and somebody who really cares about the future of this country. Bloc Québécois is already strengthening and looking to maybe call a referendum for Quebec to separate. Alberta is also not happy in this union of Canada. So,
thank you, Natasha.
Thank you.
Jason?
Well, let me tell you, I'm tired of listening to other leaders who are nothing more than parrots for Donald Trump, for other leaders who claim that they've got their elbows up and they're playing like dirty hockey players. I tell you, I want a leader who's a hero, like Gordie Howe. That's what Jagmeet is. He's there to score a hat trick. He's going to fight for us all. He scores by getting results, like dental care and pharmacare for everyone. He's there assisting us all, regardless of our wealth, our religion, our ethnicity, or our gender identity. We're all Canadians, and that's the guy that I want leading us.
Thank you, Jason. Jesse?
Yep, I'm gonna say it. How many times have you sat there watching a politician and say, just answer the damn question? You get so much word salad and zero accountability. You even get it at the local level here, right? Finally, we have a leader who gets straight to the point, doesn't take the middle of the road, is not afraid to take a stand. He doesn't beat around the bush. And beyond that, as you've seen in his campaign, He's a loving father and a husband who had a very troubled upbringing. He was born to an unwed mother at 16 and then put up for adoption. And then his adopted parents split up. And he lived with this adopted single mom. And the man went on to become a member of parliament and has represented us ever since. I think Pierre Poilievre is not going to beat around the bush, and he's going to do what's needed to get Canada strong again.
Thank you, Jesse. Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite each candidate to give their closing statements in the order of the original draw. I'll remind you that you have a minute and a half to speak. You're welcome to use the podium here if you prefer to. And we're starting with Jesse.
You know what? I'm going to actually put this away. I see a lot of red shirts. I see a lot of blue shirts. Put the partisan aside. This is a very important election. We all stood here for an hour. You have to decide which candidate made the most sense and is the right fit for Delta moving forward. We are in a very, very difficult time. We have to decide, are we going to continue with the same government that we've had for 10 years, or do we want a change of direction? The way I see things, it's the same hockey team with a different head coach. We don't need minor tweaks here and there. We need a change of direction, and the only government that is going to do that is Jesse Sohoda for here in Delta, advocating for you in Ottawa with common sense.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Jesse. Jill McKnight. Come on up, Jill.
To start, thank you to each of you for being here this evening, and to the Chamber, and to the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, and Eastlink and Sportswave. As we approach April 28th, I want to leave you with this. I've lived and worked in this community my entire life. I've built my businesses here, I've advocated for entrepreneurs, I've supported families and seniors, and I've volunteered extensively across our community. I understand that Delta is facing real challenges because I've lived them and I've been working to address them for many years. My experience as a business leader, community advocate, and lifelong resident directly aligns with the issues that will define the next 4 years: housing, affordability, job creation, and economic resilience. Whether it's building more homes, defending against Trump's tariffs, investing in clean jobs, or expanding trade infrastructure, only a Liberal government under Mark Carney's leadership can implement these plans at the scale Canada requires. Canada is not broken, and it can be even better. I'm not here to be a voice from the sidelines. I'm here to be at the decision-making table, fighting for Delta and delivering for the people I've lived and worked with my entire life. Together, we can unite Canada by fighting for affordability, building homes, protecting jobs, and building the fastest-growing economy in the G7.
Thank you, Jill. Next up, Natasha.
I can do it just from
Would
here.
you like to go from there? Okay.
Sure. So we've had a wave of 9 years of Liberal, 9 years of Conservative, and that has been happening ever since I came to Canada in 1992. I have come into a Canada that was prosperous, that a family with one income could thrive, where we, as new immigrants, could buy a simple house of a townhouse where our family could grow and thrive. This is no longer available to our children, and this is there is a change that is needed. And I, with my background in electrical engineering, which has taught me teamwork and solution-oriented approach to life, and my profession as a mathematics teacher, including a Master of Science and doctorate in the mathematics education, have given me extensive training in critical thinking and problem solving. And I think this is what we need in Ottawa: strong leadership, solution-oriented, and a whole package approach that doesn't change from 1 month to the next or from 1 year to the next. So I will be happy to represent our community there.
Thank you, Natasha. And Jason, would you like to do it from there or come up here?
No, I'm fine right here. I'd like to say thank you, everybody, for coming out. It was a pleasure to come and answer your questions as best I could. Maybe they weren't perfect, but I don't think anybody here is perfect. So in closing, I'd like to say thank you to all the candidates for coming up and answering the questions as honestly as they could. Some of them just thought about blaming the Liberal government for everything. I think history will show us that everybody makes mistakes. And the most important thing is to learn from those mistakes and how can we improve. I think all parties have good ideas, whether you're a Conservative, you're a Liberal, you're an NDP, or you're Green. Even the People's Party of Canada, they have something to offer. I think we need to look at it in another perspective, in that we need to work together because we're all Canadians, and we need to support each other and come up with proper solutions. A majority government isn't the way to go anymore in Canada. We're mature enough that we can talk to other people, respect their ideas, and come up with a plan that's good for all Canadians, because we're all equal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, candidates. Thank you for your thoughtful closing comments and your answers to tonight's questions. Thank you for the opportunity that you provided the Delta Chamber of Commerce to moderate this discussion. This brings this evening to a close. On behalf of the Delta Chamber of Commerce, I would like to thank our candidates, attendees, and volunteers for participating in the All Candidates event. To our event sponsors, the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, we appreciate your support in making informative evenings like this possible. Thank you. I would also like to thank our annual partners, the Vancouver Fraser Port Authority, Global Container Terminals, Fortis BC, the Business Development Bank of Canada, Seaspan Ferries, Eastlink, and Copier. And as a final note, advanced voting begins on April 13th at select locations, continuing through to April 16th. Please visit electionsbc.ca for specific locations. Election day is Monday, April 28th, with voting polls in BC open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We encourage you to vote. We look forward to you at another Delta Chamber event. Thank you, and good night.